whole thesis, like pick apart different facets of consumer life, and reimagine in a sustainable ways.
So the Ecoverse is it's something that you were just taking the metaverse space, but you are becoming that eco space.
A suite of products, like an eco card, like evolving your character, an avatar store, whatever, that's all backed by carbon.
Community building, especially into this space, will be so important.
Being green, but then also being out there and being available to the most amount of people.
Not just us as an agents, but I think all the agencies out there. So how can we all together, help, educating and shape that behavior that we can be, more sustainable in all the points. Everyone, it's Maira Genovese here, founder and president of Empower, a global digital influencer marketing agency. And here is our podcast, Influencer Marketing Uncover. Today, I'm super excited because we have a very interesting and important subject to discuss with our incredible guest that is joining us all the way from California, Nihar Neelakanti, CEO of Ecosapiens, a company that's making headlines for bringing the climate change fight to crypto and the NFT world. How fascinating is that? I have so many questions to ask him today on this subject. But before we start, I'm very excited to also share today this special edition with my dear Ross, our senior design manager here at Empower. This is the first time that Ross is joining me as a co-host. And I'm super excited because he has an incredible knowledge when it comes to NFT and metaverse and Web3. So nice to have you, Ross, here with me today. How exciting.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here co-hosting my first episode of Influencer Marketing Uncovered podcast, and such an exciting and relevant episode for me, and I'm sure a lot of our audience as well. Big welcome to Nihar, who's joining us from San Diego today. Welcome to the Influencer Marketing Uncovered podcast, Nihar.
Thanks for having me, guys, and it's great to meet you. And I know it's pretty late for you guys over in London, but I'm super jammed and excited about this conversation. Web3 and climate change for me has been it's a really unique intersection that, as you pointed out, can seem like they're at odds. It is a paradox. Like Ethereum and some of the protocols today are not the most green, but I do feel like NFTs uniquely present an opportunity to unlock sustainability in a unique way. So thanks again, guys.
Amazing. We've been talking, for a few months now about how to type sustainability into NFT, metaverse, and Web3. So very exciting to have you here with us today. So thank you so much for joining us. And as we're discussing by now, when you look at NFT, crypto, and Web3, climate change, and all these points around it, so I really wanted to start our conversation and asking you to explain to our audience what is actually Ecosapiens and how are you connecting all these elements, NFT, crypto, and Web3, into your new adventure, which is Ecosapiens.
Sure. So maybe we can make this a little bit interactive to kind of answer that question. But
amazing.
Ross and Maira, I can ask you a question. I don't mean to lead the witness, but do you care about the environment?
Absolutely, 100%.
Of course.
Do you do the basics? Do you recycle where you can? If you buy Nike shoes, maybe you buy the sustainable ones. Do you feel like you generally do the basic stuff?
I do. The very basic, I do feel like, I've been doing that for a while, but on a transparent way, I should do more. I do, but I feel like I'm not doing enough.
So that was going to be my next question, was whether or not you felt like you were doing enough. Do you feel like, do you feel stuck, or do you feel helpless, or do you know what to do? If you were to do more, do you know what to do?
Great question. I do think what I could do more, but I feel that at the same time, I would like to be educated more, if that makes sense. Don't know about you, Ross.
I think for me, I'm super. It's a massive subject, a massive topic for me, and one that I hold very dearly to myself. I in my private life, I enjoy lots of hobbies that are to do with nature and garden and things like that. So I feel like I do my bit to connect back with nature anyway. But I think there are some things that, as much as we can kind of cycle to work or recycle, like you said, or do our small bit, that it always leads back to my thinking of, if I'm just doing this but no one else is doing it, is that making a difference to anything? So I think that always is the question in the back of my mind when I'm doing these things that are probably quite small to in general.
So I bet you that almost anyone that you know, everyone that you guys work with, probably most people on the planet probably feel the same way. They're raising their hand saying, I'm a good person. I care about the planet. I want to do something about it. I do the things that I can, but it's pretty hard to do more. And you highlighted the two problems. One is education. There's a lack of education as to what you can do and how you can make an impact. And then there also is just this systemic, there's a structural challenge in the way consumer life is designed, right? We do live in a system that rewards waste and spoilage, right? Because negative externalities are not priced in. But also the reality is that sustainability isn't exactly aligned with consumer incentives. Right? It's just not. Most oftentimes the eco-friendly option is more expensive. It's inaccessible. It's not necessarily the most visibly attractive. It's not aligned. It's most oftentimes not the better, faster, cheaper good. Right? And so this is actually the core problem and the core customer that Ecosapiens is trying to design for is, we're on a mission to democratize climate action. And we think we can do that by basically reimagining pockets of consumer life through the lens of sustainability and making it, one-click easy, visibly attractive, financially attractive, accessible to you. And this is a unique aspect that kind of Web3 brings into this, because Web3 is like the financialization of almost every behavior, right? And the unique thing about NFTs is that it presents this visible layer to crypto that didn't usually exist before, right? I call it the Tesla principle, by the way. I have, in my previous life, I was, in venture capital for the last 7 years, and I led the climate practice at a firm called, or the climate thesis rather, at a firm called Menlo Ventures. And the whole thing I had there was it's really hard for consumers to make a difference on the environment, but we can do so if we, do those things we said, right? Make it one-click easy, visibly attractive, whatever. And I call it the Tesla principle. And I apologize if you guys own a Tesla or if you guys are vegan. Are either of you guys owners of a Tesla or vegan?
I have to admit that I have a Tesla, but hopefully, yes, that's not gonna be a big deal.
All right, I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but
please don't.
if you notice, people that own a Tesla, you'll always notice that they're never gonna be like, oh, my car's around the corner. They're almost always gonna say, oh, look, my Tesla's over there. It's the black one. Right?
No, I don't say that. So I'm glad. I will say my car is around the corner. I never say the name of the car.
There you go.
So there's a good point. Okay, good point. All right.
Vegans do the same thing. Vegans, this is my experience. If you go to lunch with someone that's vegan, and I'm not vegan, but it's never I'll have the salad, no dressing. It'll always be look, I'm a vegan. This is what I want.
That's so true. I'm not vegan, but now I got your point. Because yes, all my friends that are vegans, oh, do they have, vegan menu? I was like, oh, yeah. Really? Yes, really? Yeah, you're right. But again, I never thought about it. But now they're saying, it's just giving me the reflection that yes, everyone says I'm vegan.
It's basically, and I'm a pragmatic, person, but I think it's a virtue signal, right? Mm-hmm. The best sustainable brands, whether it's Patagonia or Tesla, they basically really lean into the virtue signal aspect, right? When you're a vegan or when you own a Tesla, you are saying this is my value system, right? And you're expressing that very publicly. Obviously, look, a Tesla, the number 2 reason why people buy Tesla is because it's a really good car. It's actually better because it's sustainable, or eco-friendly, right? Zero emissions. Third reason is because it saves you money on gas. And fourth is because it saves you money on maintenance. None of that has to do with zero emissions, right? And this is how I think you actually get more sustainable goods into the hands of people. And so what we've designed basically is the world's first perpetual carbon capture NFT. And carbon is it's an interesting vehicle that is basically the business model for regeneration, right? Reforestation, kelp production, whatever, right? Activities that sequester carbon, which we need to be doing actually, in mass. Like this is the crazy thing. We emit 50 gigatons of carbon per year in the global economy. And even if the entire economy goes to zero emissions, we actually still need to suck up carbon out of the air. It actually has to happen. The thing is, carbon, it's a $5 billion market today. It's expected to be $50 billion by the end of the decade. There's zero consumer participation in it, or very little at least. And my thesis was that we need to get consumers to buy this stuff because it finances, regenerative activities, but no one's doing it because, back to those 4 pillars that I was saying, it's not, it's accessible, but maybe it's not like you can go to Robinhood and click a button on it. And even when it is presented, which you can buy these on certain markets, no one's doing it because, like, so what? It's not like a carbon appreciates in value, like buying, a share of Amazon or something. It's not, going to the moon like one of these crypto coins. It's relatively stable. And so my idea was, what if we took it on chain, brought carbon on chain, right? So that solves the accessibility problem. And what if we made it visibly representative of something via an NFT? And that was kind of the idea of the Ecosapien, right? So when you buy our carbon-backed NFT, you're actually transforming yourself from a Homo sapien to an Ecosapien. And each NFT comes with 20 tons of carbon removal based, nature-based carbon removal credits. I know, it's a tongue twister.
Yeah, love it.
And so it comes with 20 tons of carbon, and there's 2 models in which we productize carbon in this model. So every time the NFT trades hands, so anytime it resales on volume, it's vacuuming up more carbon that gets added back into the NFT, because we're taking a fixed percentage of the resale and it goes back to the NFT itself. Thus, the NFT is it's basically stacking carbon up like Legos every time it trades. And so in that sense, it's a perpetual carbon capture NFT. The other thing is, if you choose to hold your NFT, which we want people to do ultimately, this is now your ticket into the Ecoverse, which is basically our metaverse that we're designing, to basically pick apart, what the whole thesis, like pick apart different facets of consumer life, and reimagine in a sustainable way. So the Ecoverse is like, we're playing into the whole metaverse word. But it is basically a set of products and a suite of products, like an eco card, like evolving your character, an avatar store, whatever, that's all backed by carbon.
Wow.
So really that's kind of the start of it, at least. Yeah.
Wow, it is, yeah, indeed, it is very fascinating. Your rationale behind the whole idea. And it is the first time that I'm hearing that, so I'm not sure if there's any other company doing what you're doing, but this is the first time that I'm doing that someone is going to that level that you're doing to think about climate change and all of working on the how to create this Web3 and NFT, and now you're saying Ecoverse, which is / metaverse in a more sustainable way. So in essence, the Ecoverse is just for me to and for the audience understand it as well. So the Ecoverse is it's something that you were just taking the metaverse space, but you are becoming that eco space. But how are you engaging and creating that? Are you doing that in collaboration with brands, or what is the the link between what you're doing and the brand? So are you approaching brands, or how a brand can actually be part of Ecosapiens and the Ecoverse?
Yeah, actually, like so many different ways, because consumer life, right? If you want to make a dent, in reimagining consumer, like every person's life through sustainability, it's not going to be entirely on the internet, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. It's what you wear, right? It's what you drink, it's what you eat, it's how you move. And in that essence, like really, because what we have is, when you own an Ecosapien, presumably you're a part of this climate forward community. Mm-hmm. And, we want to bring in brands that align with that value system, essentially. So, we're talking to quite a few sustainable apparel brands, plastic free goods and services, fintech products that do banking that's basically carbon negative. There are, certain banking, there's banking infrastructure out there. I know Stripe is trying to be carbon negative. We might build it ourselves. Like we have a vision of building an eco card such that every time you swipe, right, what you're doing is you're getting reward in carbon potentially, or you can maybe create a massive, royalty rewards program with other brands, where you can give discounts to people against lower carbon, behaviors, right? Like you're already spending every day. You're swiping your card every single day. But if we can, like, Brex made a massive rewards, program for corporates, and it's a, $10 billion plus company. What if we created, the world's best sustainable, credit card program, right? Where you're getting discounts to places like Beyond Meats and Impossible Burger, or you know what I mean? Like there's two competitors out there, or Patagonia or other sustainable brands. And I think there's lots of ways, because this whole sustainability thing, there's no one size fits all solution. I think there has to be massive coordination across all sectors and all categories. But yeah, to answer your question, it's both in this digital realm, but it really is like we are trying to plug in with all kinds of brands. Sustainability is an advantage today. People want to be a part of it.
Interesting that you talk about like sustainability, right? Because like as an agency here, we have a lot of client of ours that are sustainable brands when it comes to especially skincare. In this segment, we have a lot of clients that are sustainable, but when we discussed with them about like how sustainable brands can join the Web3 and NFTs and metaverse, it all sounds very controversial for them. So how do we do NFT and sustainability to connect, right? How does it work? So that's the question that every time we have these discussions with our clients, they come to us and say, we cannot figure this out, because like how this two match, like, and we'd love to hear from you, like how we're linking sustainability with NFT, how can this both coexist and contribute to each other that actually will be sustainable and make sense to the consumer.
Yeah, so this whole NFT space evolves every month. So the one sure thing is that there's no rule book for how this stuff goes. But the prevailing thinking, I'd say, is that the NFT itself it's a way to bootstrap a community, right? So if you're a brand, and let's just make up a brand, like a sustainable coffee, company, right? What you could do is you could actually create an NFT that you can issue anyone that buys, your coffee. And that NFT, because it's, issued on the blockchain, there's only one of those. It's non-fungible, obviously. You can actually loop all those people into community using the NFT, right? And as a way to kind of visually represent that they're part of the system, obviously there's the art component to it, which you can, design or whatever. But the NFT, the utility can be simply as a way to, acquire a community, right? And a loyal fan base. And now that that anyone in your community that has that NFT, you can always, you can send them rewards, you can introduce them to events. It becomes a community, right? So that's one way I've seen it. The other piece is obviously with the art, that's a massive canvas for people to then display like, oh, look, I'm part of the good coffee culture club, right? That makes sustainable coffee. And that's something that they can display, in multiple places, and it keeps evolving, right? Instagram is going to start opening up a possibility to have, showcase your NFTs. OpenSea does it currently. I mean, if you're building for that today, I would imagine that in 6 months from now, the infrastructure evolves, right? But I think there is a massive community building opportunity, around sustainability using the NFT and a canvas by which you can paint on that. I think there's this broader question about like, is the blockchain green? And this, I wish I knew the answer. Like you guys are the experts in storytelling and in marketing and stuff, not me. But I have seen like the general public, from what I've seen, is they're just going to think that the blockchain's not green. That's not necessarily rooted in truth. Like there are some chains, obviously, that are not green. And that's typically the proof of work chains. But, Solana, Polygon, Avalanche, etc., are actually more green than building stuff on the cloud, right? Like you clicking something on the cloud on a website on Web2, it's actually way greener on Solana, and or movements or transactions are greener on Solana and Polygon, which is like which is a fact that people, you know, forget or don't study, because the perception is that all the blockchain, like every blockchain is on green. I don't know how to. I do believe that that's going to be a challenge, right, from a marketing point of view. But people that are in crypto, if you're like marketing to people that are in crypto, you know, they're pretty, from what I've seen, they understand the nuances there.
Yeah, it's a difficult space, isn't it? Because as you touched on, I think right at the beginning, Ethereum is a challenging cryptocurrency to be a part of in the sustainable, like in that universe, because of its associated, like obviously the mining and the carbon emissions associated with the computing powering to do that. Are you guys working away from that to some of the more, like you said, greener crypto chains and blockchains, or and is that in that Ecoverse, is that kind of a danger that can get associated with Ethereum in that?
Yeah, so for us, we spent a lot of time thinking about, we spent a lot of time deliberating and agonizing this, like over this exact question. And our answer was to build on Ethereum. And there's basically three reasons why. One is almost all the volume for NFTs are on Ethereum, right? So like if you want to attract the widest range of customers, the most use cases, the most other Web3 collaborations, which is a big thing people do, right? They do community collaborations. My thinking was, look, when you're doing a startup or you're launching a new product, and you guys know how it is, you're in a race against time. You've got limited budget. Our thinking was, why shoot ourselves in the foot before the race, right? We're building towards a long-term vision and a long-term project here, not just one NFT drop, obviously. We need to be on the platform where the people are and where the dollars are. It's that simple. I do find that a lot of like green NFTs or green tokens, they're not doing Ethereum. So we've got more of a consumer mindset for sure. That being said, Ethereum is going to go to proof of stake. Who knows when it will become as green eventually. A lot of people think it might happen this month. Who knows? But you know, this could just be a problem that eradicates itself, honestly, over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the other thing is like all the developers and the infrastructure that's being built, people are primarily building on Ethereum, right? So also if you're an entrepreneur that's looking to build in the space, there's way more plug and play solutions there too. So
I think it's a big conversation that we're having as well, because we facilitate brands that want to get into the space, especially in such like new spaces such as NFTs, and you don't kind of want to shoot yourself in the foot and not be as public or not be like go on the big marketplaces. So you want to be on OpenSea, and you want to get the brand association and the community driven behind it. So it's a tightrope, isn't it, trying to do it, but especially in a sustainable space, being green, but then also being out there and being available to the most amount of people.
I know it's tough, but there is this old adage that I remember from from business school. It's like, you got to fish where the fish are, and it'll take time. Network effects are really powerful, right? Mm-hmm. And Ethereum definitely has it. There's a broader question of which layer twos will exist, and that's a real risk, right? If you're building a real long-term project on in Web3, if you're building on a chain that just may not exist 2 years from now, then you're in big trouble. So
like you mentioned about like community, right? So which I think community building, especially into this space, would be so important. But how to actually create the community and how to engage, especially when you mentioned about climate change, right? It is something that is really linked to your business. So how do you engage community through like NFTs and crypto and the climate change? Because like Web3, we're still going like social media, social platform will continue to be a big thing, right? Even bigger now, because we're giving much more power to the creators / influencers and talents, right? whereas the Web 1 and Web 2. So they are really much, creators and influencers, they were much more, related to brands to engage with them in order for them to succeed. And now with the Web 3 is the opposite, right? So they're going to have much more ownership from their social and how they're creating and how, they're engaging with their community. So what is your, when you think about, engaging, influencers, because, they had, a massive influence on engaging their followers because they really know, their community, they really know what the community wanted to see and what they like. So how to link now NFT community, climate change, crypto, like how do you envision those community to be?
So I think this is a great question because Web3 go-to-market is so radically different from, Web2 marketing. Paid ads, any kind of paid structure doesn't really work in Web3. I mean, the way there is a paid aspect to it in the sense that what you're doing is you have to identify other people, other influencers or other people in the space that care about the mission, the value system, the whatever, and other communities that are building alongside you, right? So for us, for example, there are other impact NFTs. There are other impact Web3 companies and organizations out there. What we did is we built a list of all those communities that we could find, and you can't Google search these names, by the way. You have to go to Twitter and Reddit. That's where all these things live. Yeah. And so it's actually like a fun technical challenge, frankly, just finding some of these other names, but you'll find them, right? Once you start getting yourself into other communities. And what you do is you build a Twitter presence, you build the Reddit presence, you build your own Discord, and you start popping into other groups that are once again mission aligned. And what you can do is you can basically once you have an initial audience of people, an initial community, and that community can live on Twitter or Discord or whatever your primary channel is. What you want to do is you want to arm those folks, to bring in more like-minded, people to the community. Usually the hook. So, I was saying in web, like paid ads don't work in Web3. There is still a paid component to it. It's just that extrinsic motivation is going to be access to the NFT, for example, in the future, or access to a token, or some type of governance, or some type of status. Like people give, high value community member status within their Discords and their whatever. And so there is a form of extrinsic motivation, right, for sustainability brands that you have to lever. But it's all about arming your initial community to bring in more people. And that's usually through Twitter and Discord and whatever. But it does start with, this initial, research. People love Twitter Spaces. That's a massive avenue for, meeting new people. It does, it blows my mind, frankly, like how for anyone in the NFT space, they live on Twitter Spaces.
They live on Twitter. And what's going to happen now with, Elon Musk and Twitter, because we're talking about Tesla, and then you're just like, just making a link here.
They've got the downvote button now. I don't know if you guys saw that. They launched the downvote thing.
I did. But yeah, no, but like, and you're so right. So Twitter is a great platform, to find community and to engage and to spread the word rapidly, right? Compared to other platforms like, TikTok and Instagram. And one thing, like you mentioned, the page won't work on Web3. So I love that you mentioned that, because this is, another question because that we have a lot from our clients, because now where we stand with the Web2, we cannot do any strategy without having the paid linking to our strategy, right? So tell us a little bit more, like, about Web3 when you mention like paid, one access. So how that transition will look like, and what is the, maybe I'm just, change a little bit the subject, just because I thought it was very interesting that you mentioned that. But if the page won't exist on Web3, how the platforms will monetize, and that means that everything will be more led to the sustainability. I mean, like, we were not gonna be, related anymore to paid in order to succeed, in order to create community, in order to educate about sustainability, in order to create community that's gonna engage on the climate change subject. How this is gonna look like? to the platforms?
It's interesting because I think Web3, the business model paradigm is a little bit different. So, in typical companies, if you're going to be sustainable, you actually have to reach like hundreds of thousands of people, right, in order to get the handful of customers that pay. And then you have to figure out how to get them to repeatedly engage, right, and hold on to retention. The thing about Web3 stuff, impact NFTs or even tokens, you don't need millions of people. You actually just need 10,000 people that are highly motivated about your cause, right? And because those people will, as long as they own the NFT, they're gonna retain, right? That's actually the greatest hook with these NFTs is once you get someone to buy one or hold one or join your community, you've got retention. Like they'll stick around. So that's really the way in which you can, generate like monetization around, and that's why people love NFTs or just tokens in general. Whereas like in typical, paid, you have to spend some money, acquire a user, then you have to spend some more money to, acquire them again and again potentially. So sorry, I don't know if I was actually answering the question or not, but I do, I do think the name of the game for this space is like fewer people that are highly motivated as opposed to large numbers of people. And you want to build a good influencer strategy, but you just have to recognize that the definition of influencer is a little bit different than a typical sense. Like celebrities aren't necessarily going to get you more people in the crypto world. People in the crypto world, they're looking at Twitter and saying who's like really thoughtful, who knows what they're talking about, who's like a real thought leader. They're not as fazed by mainstream influencers, frankly, because this is the financialization of everything, and people want to know if they buy this NFT or they're part of this mission, if it'll appreciate in value. It's hard to say if like an Instagram influencer will actually influence you in that way, right? Whereas you see a lot of people in crypto, there are these anonymous faces, frankly, like some of the influencers I know of, like Kevin Rose is the biggest influencer in NFT world. G Money's really well known. Alexis Ohanian, he's a co-founder of Reddit. There are people like that are like the big time influencers, but they're also like you can't actually. It's not like you can go to Kevin Rose and say, "Look, can we get you to promote this thing for X amount of money?" Like they're not going to do that, right? Because they themselves, their reputation is their own community, right? So I think you actually have to be way more intentional about finding the right influencers that match with your strategy and your vision. And if you can find those people, you can give them NFTs, you can give them tokens, and have them be a part of your community so that all boats rise, right? That's the whole thing, I think, here is that all boats rise as opposed to it being like a me versus you relationship. But the influencer thing, it's very different. And the names of influencers that are recognized in crypto are different also.
I think it's when you take it back into a sustainability sense, like influence for us has always been like an ultimate tool for change. So maybe that is a good aspect to bring it into, where you can promote consciousness into consumers or because they have very trusted communities, don't they? They have a part with, like, that's what we use as a base of our storytelling about brand building, about anything. So maybe that promoting the consciousness of the environment, but in this communitized way, is a good entry into the space for influencers that are relevant in that space to use.
Yeah. And I think the cool thing with sustainability and eco-friendliness is, and it's just what we'd started off this conversation with, if you ask anyone to raise their hand if they care about the environment, they're going to say yes. Yeah. Like all those names I just listed out, they care about the environment, just like you and me. I actually think the whole sustainability angle, it's way more horizontal. I think you're going to find way more TAM. Just because, like, it doesn't matter if it's Web2 or Web3. This is a cause that people care about, and people want to do something about it.
And then just like if it's a cause, like I love that we start this conversation of you asking our question of like how we feel that we are contributing to sustainability. And I think this is a question that everyone should be asking themselves by now after listening to our conversation. But how, like, to finalize your conversation, how do we shape consumers and customer behaves? How we shape brands' behavior and consumer behavior? Like how they can take actions and how together we can shape this to change mindset, because this is a not easy thing to do, right? And as we all know, we are on the tipping point, right, of the climate change. So like we're talking about decades, if we all don't do something about it, where the world would be, right? So how do we see your platform that you're just, that you have created to not just support on the sustainability aspect, but also on shaping behavior from consumers to brands?
I think it's basically I use three words, but it's community and utility aligned with impact. It's those three words. So if you can build a community around this shared sustainability culture, which is what we're doing, right? I think our twist is that we want to be pragmatic climate optimists as opposed to, rah-rah people. Like we're all about action. But that's where the utility piece comes in, right? So if you have all these people under a shared vision, and then you arm them with like real utility, and in our sense, it is a carbon backed NFT. You buy this thing, and quite literally upon mint or upon trade, it makes a massive impact on the real environment. And that's the third word, impact, right? Community, utility, impact. So that's what I think. I think brands, that's sustainable brands that want to leverage this space. I think it's the same thing. Find people that have the shared values and align with your mission, and then arm them with a real way to make an impact. And, via Web3 and NFTs, that is also the financial motivation too, right? So it's the perfect, logos, ethos, pathos, hopefully.
Wow, that I like, again, like we could stay here, talking, for a few more minutes, because it's just so interesting and it's just fascinating what you're doing and how you envision the business of Ecosapiens. So for the audience that is here listening to us, if they want to know more about Ecosapiens, so what they can do to join and to collaborate and be part of the community that you're building.
Yeah. So we're obviously at the start of a really, really big, meaningful mission. And for anyone that wants to themselves, begin their transformation from Homo sapien to Ecosapien, all you got to do is go to our website, ecosapiens.xyz, or go to our Twitter, which is also ecosapiens.xyz, and plug in, get into our Discord, follow us on Twitter. Those are the two best ways to engage with us. We host weekly town halls. We have fun, Twitter games and Discord games, and just jump in and start talking to people. We've got, quite a few people already, and, come fight the good fight with us.
Amazing. That's incredible. So huge congratulations on all you're doing. And then definitely we as an agency, we would love to continue this conversation with you as well and understand how can we support as an agency and how can we be part of your community, and maybe how can we support or be educating more the influencers that we represent, but also the clients that we work with. Because I think not just us as an agency, but I think all the agencies out there that it has so many talent representation, but also brands. So how can we all together help educating and shape that behavior that we can be more sustainable in all the points. So Nihar, that was amazing conversation. Thank you so much for your time and for being here with us today. What a fascinating topic, and I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of of our audience here interesting to know more. So thank you so much. Really appreciate. Thank you, Ross, for the first time joining our podcast. Thank you for everyone that's listening, and thank you, Nihar. And then hope that we can having you involved on the project that we're working here at Engine Power. So really appreciate.
Thank you, guys. I had a lot of fun as well.
Thank you, Nihar.
Thank you so much. And for everyone that's here today with us, thank you so much for listening another episode of Influencer Marketing Uncovered podcast. If you're not following us or have subscribed yet, please make sure to do so. We are on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and YouTube. So I look forward to see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much.